Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman.
Guys.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. Andrew Frezza. I'm here joined today by Zach Egan, Dominic Scalzo, Whitney Stevenson, and co-owner Tony Frezza. So today's topic, we're going to talk about how to prevent and overcome injuries, and we're getting right into the show. So we're going to start more on the prevention side and some of the mistakes that we see around the gym in terms of kind of letting injuries to continue or persist. So what are some of the big mistakes you guys see that cause people to get injured in the first place?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious, simple answer right off the bat is not a thorough warm-up, right? Not taking care of that, not being thorough, maybe getting yourself warmed up by riding the bike or doing the rower is good, and you should do that to start, but then you, especially when we're doing CrossFit and weightlifting and gymnastics, there's other specific things that we need to warm up that pertain to whatever workout you're doing for that day. So that would be my simple answer right off the bat, would be making sure the warm-up is full and thorough, and then also specific to the movements that you're doing for that day.
Yeah, I think it sounds obvious to us, but I don't know if everyone fully gets that. We have a lot of people that are here consistently 5, 10, 15 minutes before class and just kind of hang around until we start class. And we always put a lot of effort into our warm-ups. We try to make them as sufficient as possible. But probably one of the easiest things you can do is get here a few minutes early, get your heart rate up, hop on a bike, hop on a rower, and then hit some of the things that are a little bit more specific to you, stuff you've had issues with in the past, areas you're tight, or maybe you've been sitting all day, whatever it might be, kind of hitting some of those target areas that are specific to you.
Yeah, I think, our warm-ups are great, but if you can come in 5-10 minutes earlier than that and address your own specific problems, definitely do it. Take advantage of that. And it could be foam rolling, lacrosse ball, it could be stretching, or something more dynamic where you're just, getting a sweat on, because maybe you have been sitting all day. So, not everyone shows up in perfect shape. So to each their own, do your own thing before the warm-up.
I agree with that. For me, I have to do that every single day. It doesn't matter what we're doing. I have to get my hips opened up every day. I have to get my thoracic rolled out and opened up and softened up so that I can go overhead every day. And whether I'm going overhead or not, it still has to be something I touch, or it will go the other way. So for me specifically, I always have to do certain things when I come into the gym, regardless of what's going on. I think a lot of people could do that too. And if we know we're doing overhead squats on a certain day, we're going to write a warm-up that's prescribed for those movements. But if you're super rounded and really tight and you have very little mobility in the shoulders and the back, then you need to come in early and do even more for those movements, because you need to know that what we've got written is not going to be enough for you personally. It might be enough for Dom, but it's not enough for me. And so you've got to know that and take that personal responsibility to get yourself ready to go.
Yeah, and then, also on the other side of things, post-workout is, especially for the people that are injured, or they are like, oh, my hip feels like crap every day. Post-workout, you just went through this ridiculous workout, whatever it might be. Let's just take today, for instance. You went through a lot of minutes of just going back and forth, running, box jumping, wall balls, all that. But at the end of the workout, if you just jump right in your car, cool down, leave, drive home, cool down more.
Stiffen up.
Like, you literally did nothing. Like, there's no like there's nothing done great from that workout to your body. Like if you can sit there, stretch those hands, stretch what you just used, or the places that if your hip bothers you, even say we didn't involve hips, which probably would never happen, but just say we didn't, and you just want to stretch your hips. It doesn't have to be what we use post-workout because we already did everything. You're cooling down now. It could be anything you want to do post-workout, but just getting that routine in. I know I've seen Whitney do the same post-workout stretch since I've been here every day. I, on the other hand, struggle with both pre-warm-up and post-workout.
Stretching.
To the point where my coach will literally write things where it's like, hey, do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I skip it sometimes, like a lot. But I mean, I try to do it. And when I do it, I do feel so much better. Like it's, I mean, I feel like a lot of people like say stuff like that, but I really do. And I'm like, wow, I feel good. Like that was good. Or even some days, on Saturdays especially, he writes like a skill-ish thing to start off because he knows I'm just going to come in, do it, leave. And like if it's not there, I won't do it entirely, depending on the day. Like if I'm really beaten up from the week, but I'll try to stretch out a little bit. But post-workout is just as important, actually, if not more important than the warm-up stretch.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage post-workout because you're already warmed up, you already got that blood flow, and that's your chance to open up some of those problem areas or those areas that kind of tighten up first. Maybe you go sit in office for 8-9 hours after doing your workout, but if you just take 5 minutes, your legs are already warmed up, and that's your chance to, okay, let's open up the hips a little bit more, let's gain some more space. You're gonna get the most bang for your buck in that time right after workout, for sure.
Yeah, so let's address that for the people that do go to work after a morning workout and they have to sit at a cubicle, or a desk. What are some good tips to, help those people not lock up and not stiffen up?
Well, this may be a more drastic option, but I've seen a lot of people doing it, and that's standing up and not sitting and getting a standing desk. You do have to go buy a new desk. I understand that that's not an option for everyone, but if it's something that you can afford to do, I would suggest it. I know that I've been told by many people that the chair is the devil, and that it causes a lot of issues for us and how we sit and how our posture settles while we're sitting. So for a lot of people, I think that would be a good option, especially if you are somebody that works in an office and you spend a lot of time in the office. You don't have to stand all day, but at least eliminating half of the day of sitting, and maybe decide, okay, I'm going to do an hour of standing, and then I'll sit for an hour, and then I'll stand for an hour, and I'll sit, and at least to keep you getting up and down. I know we have a couple clients. I was just talking to one of our clients, and he has been doing something where every day he does something at lunch. Every day he goes through just simple, like, hamstring stretch, pigeon stretch, Spider-Man's and stuff. He does them in his office, and it takes about 5 minutes, but he thinks it's really helping him, and no doubt it's definitely helping him. Somebody that doesn't move that well, just getting that in every single day is going to help him improve. And it's also, if you make it simple and something you can do every day, it's not that time consuming, and it's not that hard to get done. And you just chip at it over 30, 60, 90 days. You are going to become more flexible and feel better.
Well, and then there's also like the people at night. Let's go move from that, because I mean that's perfect. But at night, there's the stretch like the Kelly start, like the couch stretch. Like it's literally called the couch stretch. Like you can do it on your couch, like using the couch for a little like a holder for your leg or whatever you want to call it. But doing that and just stretching, like hips is a big thing for a lot of people, and stretching that out, and like the thoracic, like upper back area is very tough for a lot of people, and shoulders. So doing anything possible for that. There's a lot of good blogs, like a lot of famous people have written in the CrossFit world, just going over doing we do split jerks every day, and doing a bridge hold, it's excessive, but you don't even have to do that. You can do that crab hold we do at home, 15 seconds 7 times or whatever. You don't have to do it for minutes on minutes, but you can do it, add it up. 15 seconds times 7 is some crazy number, but you can add that as a lot of numbers. But you can add that up, it adds up in the end. So you'll be holding it throughout the day, try to hold 4 minutes of it or whatever it might be. And that can go with every, a lot of a big talk always, since I've started, like, sit in a squat for 10 minutes. Now I saw a post the other day, sit for 11 minutes. It's like, okay, well, 1 extra minute, like, whatever. Like, but 10 minutes in a squat is a long time. Like, if you can sit there straight for 10 minutes, that's remarkable. And, like, I don't want to know how to do that. That just seems miserable. But going 1 minute, go out throughout your day, doing it 10 times throughout the day is not that difficult. Thinking about 10 minutes out of your, let's say, 12-hour day is nothing, you know, even if you're hiding in the bathroom doing it.
Yeah, you're going to feel better if you mix in some of that movement. When you get long periods of sitting, it just kind of, it takes everything down. Your ability to think and your emotion just kind of drop with that sitting all day. You brought up Kelly Starrett, and one of the things I wanted to move on to next was kind of talking about, you're in a workout and you're experiencing pain. Maybe it's for the first time, maybe it's been persistent. How do you guys distinguish between something that's just discomfort that's going to open up, something that's pain that you can work through, or something that is potentially an injury that you need to scale and do something different? How do you guys look at that when it happens to you in a workout?
Well, I think whenever you're in a workout and you're, going hard, those pain receptors, your nerves, those are blocked because of the movement that's going on. So if you feel pain, it's probably worse than you think it is. So don't underestimate that pain that you feel, and don't push through it to a point where you could be really hurting yourself.
Definitely. And I think it's also good to distinguish between like muscular fatigue pain, because we all have that feeling where like, your quads are on fire, or calves are on fire. That's not the pain we're talking about. We're talking, more often it's more joint related. It's going to happen around a joint. It doesn't always have to be around a joint, but starting to distinguish, okay, this isn't just fatigue. This is something different than that. And like Tony's saying, if you're in a workout, you have adrenaline going, you're hyped up. Think about if you're in a fight and someone punches you in the face, you probably don't even feel it in that moment. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, yeah, I got punched in the face. That definitely happened. So, it's very important that whatever you feel in that moment is probably to a large degree worse than that. And just the ability to, I hear it a lot where it's like, I can still do the movement. You'll hear, I can still do it. And that's not necessarily the point. It's can you do it in the morning? Can you do it tomorrow if you keep going?
I think that normally if you come to a workout and you're working out and then something sudden happens, that's normally a sudden pain is normally something that's not normal, and you should maybe immediately stop, like ask your coach, maybe just stop doing that movement, like something needs to be addressed in that moment, versus just like it's hurting, like my entire body hurts sometimes when I do workouts, so the it's hurting isn't as bad as that sudden pain that comes on when you really maybe tear something or strain something or sprain something. And then if you have a nagging pain, that's something that maybe needs to be brought up before the workout, where you can talk about it and maybe scale, maybe do a different movement, set the workout up differently so you can complete it to your best and you're not making that nagging pain worse or bringing that into a sudden pain.
I think that's a great point. I get a lot of times our clients will have pain. We'll get into the workout and we're maybe a round in, maybe we're 3 minutes in, and I notice that they're not performing the way they normally do. I can tell they're not moving properly. Something isn't moving right. I'll come over and say, hey, are you okay? Is something going on? Yeah, I've had this going on. You never said anything to me, and more than likely, if you had said something to me, I would have changed the entire movement. I would have done something different. I would have done whatever I had to do to come up with a workout so that you can move, keep working out, get some sort of sweat involved, and feel good about what you did, but not interfere with your injury that you have. And we may not know what's going on with you, but if you say, hey, like something's going on with my hand, well, we can do something so that you're not using that hand for at least the completion of the workout. And then from there, we can do whatever we need to do to maybe prevent anything else from happening and treat whatever injury you may have. Maybe you don't really know what it could be, but I think a lot of times people they're adamant about staying in the workout, but they never consider just talking to the coach and think about, well, hey, well, if your shoulders are bothering you and we're doing push presses, well, maybe you could do a squat or a deadlift or some other movement that is, obviously it's totally different than what you're doing, but it might still go well with that. Maybe we need to change up another movement too to make it fit. But that's, in my opinion, a great way to go about dealing with an injury for somebody and keep them working out. But I a lot of times have clients where they don't want to speak up, and we get into the workout and then there is trouble, and then they're willing to change then, but it takes a little bit more of discipline to know before the workout and say, I know this is going to be a problem, let's get game planning it right now.
Yeah. One of the sort of like the rule of thumb I use for myself, because I think we all have these nagging pains. If you're doing CrossFit, you have, or any physical activity, you're going to have things that kind of come and go over time. If I have a nagging, let's say it's a wrist pain or it's a shoulder pain, if I can, in my warm-up or in my pre-work, make progress with that pain and get it to feel better, then usually I'll try to work through that. Maybe not go as heavy, maybe not try to RTG that day, but I'll say, okay, it feels better and I can work through it. Maybe that's some lacrosse ball work, some band work, or maybe it's just getting a little bit more of my heart rate up. But if that persists, then I know, okay, today is a day where I got to do a different movement altogether. I got to give this a week or two to fix itself, or to get better, to heal, whatever it might be. I just can't keep hammering on it all over. I think a lot of people, I've heard this before, it's like, you can't assume that something's going to improve if you keep doing the same things over and over again. So if you're not changing anything, that injury that started in the first place is likely not going to go away.
Yeah, I think, from the coach's standpoint, when we're coaching people, when you have a client or an athlete that specifically tells you, hey, I did this movement and I felt this sharp, acute pain, you should tell them to stop, pretty much. I mean, that's the time to say, hey, all right, get on the bike for the next 5 minutes. I'll come check on you, see how it's going. But usually, you don't want to push them through a workout if they have one instance where they know something, cold or something. You want to get them out of the game, put in a substitute.
Yeah, and also, like, we as coaches have been around for a little while, and we've coached a lot of people, and like we've seen a lot of injuries. Like that's just what happens with anything in fitness. Every coach of every sport has seen a lot of stuff happen. So, and a lot of times it's relatively around the same thing. Like some different discrepancies in there, but like some shoulder stuff, it's usually always the same thing. Almost always, like back things. So unless it's like discs and all that sort of thing. But like for the most part, it's relatively similar injuries. So with that said, like if most of the clients have it, probably one of us have had it too. And like we have talked about this and like just thinking off the top of my head, like there's one person next door that has it, and like Brendan, like the other coach, he's had like very similar injury. He can really help with that. Like he knows a lot of things to help fix that, and I mean, all of us have been through that and have studied a lot of that stuff. So it's just like, we understand that. Like that's what we are here for. It's like actually not like doing the workouts, but like knowing how to scale them for the most part, because there's always someone that has to scale something because of something in the past. Like torn ACL 3 years ago, I can't squat at all. Like, okay, like let's make this work,
Have a wooden leg.
Yeah.
Make that work.
Make it work. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into we're talking a lot about preventing some of these injuries. What are some of the mistakes people make once you have an injury, okay? So let's say you have, you're deadlifting one day, there's a definitive, pull or something not right in your back, and you gotta miss some workouts, or maybe you don't have to miss some workouts. What are some of the mistakes that you see people make when there is that definitive thing where it's that, as Whitney mentioned, it's that, that acute specific moment you've felt something happen to you?
I'm sure there's a lot of ways we're going to go with this, but I think for me, a lot of my clients will, they'll stop coming in. They'll say, oh, well, I threw my back out, so I'm done. All right. Well, you don't know what you did to your back. And more than likely, if there's an imbalance or a problem with your back and strength, we need to build it up. So you not coming in or not doing any more deadlifts is not going to it's not going to fix your problem. It's just going to
sitting all day.
Yeah. You sit around all day. You know, you've got this going on. You got extremely tight hamstrings, tight lower back, probably some imbalances from front to back, and you have an injury in your back. Well, the last thing you want to do is just stop working out altogether, because you're not going to be able to come back in and jump right back into where you were. You're going to have to regain the conditioning that you've lost, the flexibility, some of the muscle mass. So I have a lot, I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, well, should I just do something else? I was like, no, let's do it really light and keep it at a really good tempo. And as long as it's pain-free, that's where we'll stay. We don't need to build from here, but you still want to do the movement in a really controlled fashion, because you're still going to do this sport. You still want to, you still come in all the time. So I think for a lot of people, it's when you have something like that, have an injury, don't just disappear from the gym and say, oh, well, I can't go back in until I'm feeling better. But you need to start talking to some people that know what to do when you feel that way. And that's the way I look at it.
Well, and also like working out, we're doing it to lose weight, we're doing it to feel good, but what working out does is it builds things. It builds little muscles, it builds big muscles, it builds huge muscles, whatever. But it is working out is meant to fix improper pieces of your body. It's not the societal mindset of working out is I'm gonna get shredded. That is just what's happening. And when that doesn't happen, you're oh, I'll keep doing this. Then you get hurt, and you're nothing worked for me. I'm done, But all I do is get hurt every time I work out. Well, what the hell? Why? Stop doing RTG when you should be doing scaled, or whatever it might be. It's just with that, I think that is really important to know. Working out helps your body improve. It's not just about losing weight, and even if that's your main goal, you have to have things to work in your body to help you lose weight. If your shoulder's messed up, your oblique might be messed up. Because of that, you can't hold anything overhead, or your overhead stability is so bad, or whatever it might be. But a lot of things are connected to this midline here, and because of that, people get knee injuries, and it's well, why is that? It's oh, this side is hurt, I compensate on this side, and then I ran this way, and I have a torn ACL, and you're what happened? Build your body, build it up slowly. You don't have to, do RTG day one.
Yeah. So we're talking about, through the injury, try to get back in the gym, but also as you're getting back in the gym, be smart about it, right? So we're writing workouts, for the average person or for the majority, right? If there's something on there that that's going to bother you or bother your injury, don't do it. We will find you a scale, okay? Don't take what's on the board as what you have to do. I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make, is that they think, okay, it's on the board, I gotta do it, right? Regardless of how my back injury feels. But just ask your coach. They're gonna find something for you that day and the next day, and then you'll also be able to think of some stuff on your own as well. After if this is going on for a couple weeks, you'll know how to scale it. You'll know how to get the most out of that workout.
But with that said, still ask just in case, because I have had a lot of people be oh, well, I have a hurt back, I'm just gonna do strict press, and you're well, why? Why would you do that? And you're well, I figured that would be the best. It's my shoulders, not my back. And it's don't do strict press. Please don't do that. It's just some things are meant to not happen. So with that, even if you have been doing it, still see one of those just in case. And you might be completely right. And I'd rather have you be dude, I already knew that, than to go do something and be wrong, and completely hurt it. Because sometimes you might be doing a movement that still involves it, and you don't know that, physiological. So it's just in case,
Definitely. I think, Zach and Tony pretty much hit on it with the two sort of ends of the spectrum, which is one person says, they're going to stop altogether, and they kind of miss out on the fact that movement is healing. We're built to move. When people stop moving, they die very quickly, because the body's meant to move. It's movement is almost like a self-healing thing that we're built to do. And then, the other end of the spectrum is with what Tony was saying is they look at the board as kind of the dogma, and either one, that they come in and they say, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to miss a beat. You know what? I can do it. I can push through the pain. I'm going to do it. It's on the board. Or 2, I can't come in at all because I can't do exactly what's written on the board. And I mean, as coaches, that's really what we're paid for. Is we're paid to make those decisions for you, to help you work around injuries. And like Dom said, we all have experience with multiple injuries and just different exercises that you can do, whether it's a replacement or whether it's more of a PT, physical therapy type of a warm-up, or something to prevent that injury from happening in the future.
I think that's a really good point, like that extreme thinking of like, I'm either going to come in here and do RTG or I'm going to do nothing at all. Like having that weird capacity of yourself, like I'm either going to do this or I'm going to do this. And like, that's like ego, and we're taught to kind of leave the ego at the door. And like, the only thing I keep thinking of right now is like all of our moms that have had babies and work out like through that, and how much their workouts change, like while they're pregnant, during pregnancy, post-pregnancy. That whole journey is scaling workouts, like how they have to leave the ego at the door and just do what their body is able to do. And at one point, they probably can't even do a burpee or a sit-up. And if they were in that extreme thinking of like, I'm never going to be able to do a sit-up ever again, and then all of a sudden, you know, they capacitize that and they never do a sit-up ever again. Like, that would be terrible. And like here, you know, you have so many moms coming back, like doing Fran, doing all these workouts just because they took the time to scale appropriately and like work through that, almost like a physical therapy type of like rehabilitation, I guess, like from pregnancy to post-pregnancy. And I think that's something that we all can like take something from.
Definitely, yeah. We've had a lot of moms that have done it right up until the week of giving birth. They've continued to work out. Did it look like it did before they were pregnant? No, but you know, they still got a great workout. They still felt extremely challenged, and you know, a lot of, you know, from what we've seen, it's led to very healthy babies from it. So
they've all bounced back really quickly too.
Exactly. They've been patient enough to kind of work through the process, as Whitney said, and bounce back and be better than they ever were. I mean, we see the moms are kicking my butt on a lot of things, so
Strong moms.
I gotta find a different class time to work out so I stop getting beat. But
We should get a mom cast going.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing here? They're better than us.
Mom cast, I love it.
Awesome. Well, was there anything you guys want to add on the injury front that you thought would be useful for the members that we kind of missed?
I think Kelly Starrett offers so much. If you guys aren't, you know, already following Mobility WOD and what Kelly offers, follow him. I did his seminar, the Mobility WOD seminar, and probably the biggest takeaway that I got from it was that it's really helpful to mash and foam roll to free up the joints, free up your muscles. And if you're doing that and you're experiencing like incredible pain, then you need to do it more, right? Not necessarily right in that spot, but your body is resisting it because you haven't done it enough. So, I mean, as I've done more and more, I really don't feel pain when I do the lacrosse ball or the foam roller because my body's gotten used to it. And also, when you have pain, say a lot of people have tendinitis, like an elbow joint from doing pull-ups or rope climbs. Really try to assess it somewhere else than that exact spot, right? So work on your forearm, work on your tricep, go to other spots with the mashing, and not try to just go where the pain is, but go around the pain, and you'll find that you can diagnose it.
I think also just trying to be a safe athlete. Like, I know all the coaches here, we try to look out for everyone's safety and like how things are set up, but we also have to take on like our own personal responsibility of where we're putting our bar or where we're putting our box if we're putting it under a rig. And there's definitely like missteps that we make. Like, I put a 45-pound plate under the rig and sprained my ankle pretty bad, and I could have just put a blue mat, or I could have just asked Andrew, hey, what do you think about this? And he might have said, or he would have said, no, take that out, do something different. And so I think just thinking about the element of safety and like being personally responsible and having some spatial awareness, like when we're working out, because a lot of injuries that we do get are sometimes avoidable, you know?
Yeah, the other day we had two people, I think, almost collided with the sleds or something like that. And that was one of those things where you just, you got to know to keep your head up. You're pushing something that's very heavy, and luckily nothing happened. But that was one of those instances where it was just none of us could have prevented that. It just needed people to be a little bit more responsible for their own bodies and what they're doing with their equipment.
And I'm just kind of going off Tony and what he was saying too, but like just something that I do, like I said, like I'm not the best at warming up at all, or cooling down. But like what I do every week, I was doing it twice a week, but I get a massage every week, like at least once a week. Ideally, I try to make it twice a week, but like I destroy my body all day long, every day. And trying to I'm really trying to put more into my recovery, whether it is sleep, food, obviously all that stuff, but like trying to really focus on that. And the massage has actually like remarkably changed my career. Like there's no way I could do 3 open workouts in a row, 4, and survive without getting a massage that morning or the after. But like, you know what I mean? Like there's just no way. Like it's not possible. So like, getting that and just really taking, like having love for your body, because you're gonna beat the hell out of it, like love and disrespect, but like like it just
It's a nice balance.
Nice balance, but like really taking care of your body in the sense where you beat it up like $50 or 60, 70, $100, like more than that is a little pricey, but like $100 we can deal with it. But like doing that you don't have to do once a week, but like getting used to that and just really getting that feeling, because like with the mashing, it's the same thing. I get deep tissue. I woke up the other day and some woman was walking on my back in this massage thing. I was like, what is happening right now? She knocked me out and then walking on my back.
Chasing Pokemon, getting
my back walked on. But like it helps tremendously.
Yeah, I thought of something as Tony was talking, just a really tactical, simple thing is that for like the elbow tendinitis and knee tendinitis. Elbow a lot of times is like rope climbs related. I see a lot is the voodoo bands work really well for those 2 joints specifically when it's like a tendinitis, kind of a light, sort of a nagging, like tingling sensation. It's nothing too like strong or acute. It's kind of there and it might come and go over time. I find that the voodoo bands are really useful for those 2 joints specifically. And then also, this is something that I had to adopt once I had a pretty serious back injury a couple years ago, is each day you come in, do a quick self-assessment of some of the things we've talked about in other episodes, which is sleep, eating, how you've been training the last couple days. And if you kind of evaluate all those things and all of those things have been bad, sleep was bad, you don't feel that good, body's beat up, maybe today is not the day you RTG, or today's not the day you go for that PR, whatever it might be. You can live to fight for tomorrow and still be good, in terms of rather than getting an injury and missing 3 to 6 months or longer.
Mm-hmm. And also with the knee and elbow pain or injuries, I think you should address the imbalances you may have, or like strength imbalances, right? So a lot of people have like a much stronger tricep, because we do a lot of pushing in CrossFit. So their tricep is stronger than their bicep, which pulls on their elbow. I know for me, it's funny, we were in our dodgeball tournament, not this past year, but the year before that, and I threw a ball and hurt my elbow. And for 6 or 7 months, I lived with this dodgeball injury that, I couldn't even do legless rope climbs, because every time I grabbed the rope, it would just be so painful. But then so I was reading up on it, and I found that if I could strengthen my forearms, it would help the injury. And, I'm not saying that it was something that I knew right away it was going to work, but I did about 4 or 5 weeks of fat grip bar work and just all this grip work, got my forearms stronger, and the pain just went away. It was crazy. After 6 and 7 months of living with it, I still play dodgeball.
Yeah, dodgeball is dangerous. You shouldn't do that shit.
That was very serious.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. We'll see you next week.
Sponsored by UPS.
Panda.
Block out the